Good Abend, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to TOBI Tweaks. Today's topic, the MECHLABOR STM-700 16-track tape machine. I was browsing through Kleinanzeigen one day, which is just the best spot in Germany to find local deals on equipment, and I saw an announcement of somebody looking for help repairing this machine as it was broken. I forgot about it. Later I think he messaged me, Gleb, the owner of the machine, for somebody that I had for sale, and then we came in contact and I said, well, I remember your machine, let me come and look at it. And that's what I did. I went to his place, he showed me the machine, and we identified a few broken cards. Like on this card there was a burnt resistor. You can still see the marks. I took it home, repaired these cards, went back to his place, and we built up the machine from the ground, meaning checking power supplies and everything. And that's where my footage starts. Hello and welcome. There it is. The big machine. This thing is super heavy and we worked on it already for a bit. You can see the covers of modules are here to be worked on. Let me give you a catch up on what happened. First, I restored the power supply. There was one module in here that was smoking, but we all love non-smoking equipment. Yeah, a lot of heat must have gone through here. This is the switch that switches the motor speeds. So if you go fast forward, rewind and whatever. So there's a lot of voltage going through here. I think the motor voltage is between 70 and 100 volts. So yeah, quite a lot of power. I exchanged a few things. Now this works fine. It doesn't smoke anymore, which is good for its health. But even though we have, let me do that off camera, even though we have the first signs of life, I'll show you when I set these in the CPU cards. Now, this one has been worked on. It has a battery and a chip was replaced by a whole circuit, probably because this chip is unobtainable. And yeah, this one does not work at all. This one gives a few lights on this remote, but it does not react to anything. So I want to first confirm the CPU working, and I brought equipment to measure the clock, for example. Maybe I take it home, socket the CPU. This is an 8085, quite a widely used, commonly used CPU. Yeah, so as you can see, a little bit more than just the smoking resistor. Now, this machine has a history, so it came from Ukraine. Gleb, who himself fled Ukraine in the beginning of the war, I first thought that he himself brought it from Kiev with him to Berlin. I later learned that this was not the case, but a company transported it for him. I also thought he would own this machine before in Ukraine, but it seems like he bought it from Germany, from a studio in Ukraine, and had it shipped to here. Now, supposedly this machine should have been in good running conditions. But as you can see, and as we figured, there were a few more problems with it. Okay, so we figured a little problem with the breakers. The machine stays on now. We have modules back in. And if I turn it on, you can see signs of life. The fans in the back are spinning up, which is good. The display is showing values. I'm not really able to manipulate the values in the way that I want. It's reacting to some stuff. What it's doing though is that if I press play and we have this tape sensor occupied, it is doing something. I can fast forward. Now if I press stop, you can see it's not stopping, but these are spinning in opposite directions, so it wants to keep tension on the tape. There might be a rehearse search. Yeah, there should be options to change stuff, but as you can see here, if I'm trying to change stuff here on this, oh sorry, if I'm trying to change stuff here, it's not registering. Also here, not really. So maybe we still have to look into the CPU, but what I want to do first is I want to get this panel on, which is controlling all the record enable things. I'm sure for that to work, I'm not really sure, but I think we might have to put the audio cards in, which will be next. Okay, after a bit of measuring, 2 problems were found. The panels are not reacting, and I checked the CPUs and the clock on this board. I get no lights at all, and the clock is measuring irregular and not in a rectangular but more like a triangular shape. On this board that shows these weird numbers, I am not seeing any correct clock at all. So maybe it's the quartz. I have a look into that. The other thing I noticed, the capstan is not spinning and there's 1 power still down. So that's for the next time. Now the issue was, and that you can see in the video as well, this 16-track machine was in his private home, and his private home was on the other side of Berlin, so it took me 45-minute drive by car to his place and then back again, and I wouldn't have every tools on site. The 45 minutes were also only true if I was able to escape the rush hour, so I had to pick specific times to get him, otherwise I would have taken an hour or longer per way, right? And we identified more things that were broken, the CPU not functioning correctly, some power supplies were not functioning correctly. So I was swapping parts out in my shop, bringing them back to his place. Now, the thing is, I pretty soon had the idea, well, it's not working. Maybe we get this machine into my shop where we are now and fix it. But I remember Gleb, who I think his wife got their 2nd or 3rd child. Forgive me for not remembering the correct number here. But I remember Gleb told me that because this was kind of like in his private home, Gleb told me that he does not want this machine to leave his house because he knows his wife will never allow him to get it back home again. So it took quite a bit for this machine to show up here, because I could make it only every few months when things aligned perfectly for me to go to his place. I didn't want to overcharge him on like transit and stuff, also because I knew that this, or I could fear this becoming a much more tedious project than first assumed. Yeah, so just a few things aligned there for it to take a lot of time. And I think we started this project together in September of 2023. And it took all the way until 2025 for him to finally agree. After I was there for last time, the machine just started smoking from somewhere in the back. And we just all agreed that this is not safe to work on it in his home, where it was just like more like a balcony or a Wintergarten, we call it in German. So we agreed to have it transported. And first I thought we would transport it just with my friends. But then in the end we hired a piano mover to get this back here. So it showed up in my shop finally. And here it is in my shop. It arrived. Piano movers brought it in. We were so close to hauling it ourselves. And everyone's happy we did not do that. Because for them it was easy. For us it would have been broken backs and everything. So this machine had a few issues. I'm so happy I can reach the back now. Finally. Remote control, Dolby, all kinds of stuff. Outputs, mirrored outputs, inputs. Yes. Yes, there's a wheel that supposedly had been missing all the time. But there should be all parts to it. So best case, I only screw it back in. There's some panels. And yeah, I'm looking forward to making this a complete system. Well, what I suspected was that I need to redo the software on the EEPROMs. So I'm waiting for an EEPROM burner. And we're gonna do this. Such a cool device. I mean, look at it. Why do I like it so much? And yeah, I don't know why it took me so long to get the fourth wheel on. Maybe I was just used that this project did take a long time in the past. But things were starting to finally speed up after I had the fourth wheel on. I was comfortable to move it. The piano movers told me that this is about 300 kilograms. I did not want this to fall on my feet while working on it. So, yeah. Oh, it has been such a long time. But here we are again with this tape machine, and you can hear me breathing. Because this was quite the job that I was holding back for a while. Well, let me try to show it to you. There they are, new caster wheels. Old one on the other side. Luckily, the format is still available. Now, I would love these to be bigger. But it's just for one wheel. If I would have all fours, I would have put them probably on 125mm wheels. These are 100mm wheels. And it was quite the job to get the old ones out and the new ones in. I had to use these things that you normally use for cars to like hold it up. And then do I have the old plate? Yes. Now this is from the old wheel. And this is where you can see the Gewinde, you would say in Germany, being damaged. And that's why the old wheel always fell off. Now this can go to right to the trash. Where's the old remains of the wheel? There it is. Quite a lot bigger than the one that I have in right now. But I hope, because my new one, well, at least you would think technology has moved forward. I hope my new wheel holds it just as fine. Okay, so back with the machine. We got the wheels on and I'm trying to get power to this thing. And this switch here, which is like a breaker, it does not work. You can see I already unplugged the module and still it breaks power all the time. So I'm going to exchange it. Here it is from the inside. You can see this is just like the average breaker that you would find in your house. Right? So I'm going to find a replacement with the same value. Luckily it is listed on top. I definitely want to have this in circuit and not just like bridge this now for testing, because I know the power supply is smoking and I don't have the best access to the breaker box actually in my workshop here. So let's replace this first. And here we are back with the modern breakers in. It looks way better than expected, even though, as I showed you, the older ones were much longer. They had this kind of nose. It's all reachable. It's not, yeah, as stable as I would want them to be. But normally there's nothing to touch. I don't know. This is this Huchin system. And I guess there is some screws somewhere. I see how that works. If it's too unstable, I might change it. Okay, so the machine is on now. Everything works perfectly, and then yeah, even this clock works now. It was disconnected before. I don't know why. It makes weird noises. Maybe that is why, but then again, the machine in itself is super noisy. I should not have connected this clock. I know it's in German there's this thing called Arbeitszeitbetrug, where you're cheating on company's time. I know that disconnecting the clock kind of like tampers with the way you can identify how much running time this machine has. I have a few theories about how much this machine has been used, but more on that later. Now I have the back open. All of the models are plugged out. That's why you see nothing here, right? The only thing that should see power is this back side, which is basically like the first half of the power supply. Now you can see two very, very large mains transformer down there on this side and on that side, right? And then you see this array of large capacitors. And then probably there. Haha, now you can see it. Two large transformers, main transformers. Then you see the diodes, right? And then the large capacitors behind it. Now, this unit was smoking out of the back. So what I will probably do next is take out this power supply and measure the caps, maybe even exchanging them. We'll see. We see. And then I will go through the testing procedure for the power supply. There is one. And there's some DC voltages that I would want to see here. Man, the fans are making noise. There's fans down there. They probably would want to be exchanged as well sometime. Then we're doing one step after the other. So far, no smoke. Maybe that's because all of the modules are out and there's no current draw. Maybe. I mean, maybe I am just having a problem with one of the cards. And that's why it's smoking? And well, after just looking around, I found this guy in plain sight. Do you see it? That looks smoky indeed. I mean, broken, yes. But also it looked like we had some fire there. This is for the remote. And it could very well be that this is one of the reasons why we have this messy front panel. Interesting. I'll order a replacement chip or maybe just unplug this whole thing, because this is A for DBX, noise reduction, which was not used. And then also for a remote, right? We found the thing that was smoking in the machine. Now, you see there's a yellow note there, and I had Gleb translate the yellow note, and it said something about a thing not working. A first sign of that this machine might not have been in perfect condition before it was shipped. We always thought, or I always thought, these things that we're working on would have broken in transit. But it turns out there were a few things broken before this thing hit the road. And here you see the power supply tray moved out. Well, power supply in this thing is not just that, but that's also the DC stabilizers in the front. But we're focusing on this right now. It can just slide out and connects via these to the stations where DC needs to go. Electrical power comes in directly into here. You see these two massive power transformers. And then you have this array of capacitors that I wanted to check. And I guess they're all good because on all the rails, I still have quite the amount of voltage, like 18 volts, 20 volts, 14 volts, 10 volts. And that is with this being turned off for a week. So I guess they're all good. If they were to leak, they would not have held the power. However, it's good that I checked because this guy and this guy, these were a bit loose and I resorted them. They broke off. This machine had quite the journey. So yeah, that's fixed. And then, I mean, I bridged the solder point at one point and I had sparks. So there's a lot of power in these capacitors still. But that is also, and none of the cards are connected right now. Maybe they drain faster once I have something connected, but I'm gonna build up this machine kind of like from the ground up. So this is the first step. These are checked. Welcome back to the tape machine. And I finished the power supply. Last time I showed you, I did the supply panel. I then tested all the DC stabilizer. And I think in one negative 15 volt rail, I changed a DC regulator. Now on to the CPU, and you see I assembled something already. I will show you that in a minute, but let me catch up what I did before. So there is this CPU card, and I have two of them because from all the relevant computer cards I have a set of two. And then there is a testing procedure that I have in the official documentation where I can test voltages and then also the clock and data signals. Now I can do that on the bench pretty easily. I have a setup where I will supply 8 volts to this card via ground and input. Let me do that. And here we go. That is my clock signal, and that should be 6 megahertz if I calculate it correctly. So the clock is working fine. Then I have a clock output from the CPU. Here we go, pin 37, and that is supposed to be a square wave, so that is looking good. And then the last thing to confirm would be the data lines, and they come out here. But on this card I am not getting any, and that is because there is something that in here. But yeah, so I tested both of these cards. This one, no bueno, I will look at it later. The other one, I could confirm data lines and everything on all the buses. So I put that in the machine and assembled it together. I tested all the other cards. There's 2 more cards that connect to the front panels for switching and everything that I just measured my voltage lines to be correct, and they are. So I put a panel in and I'll show you where I'm at right now. So I switch it on. And that is the state of the machine. That is the furthest I ever got with it, because now I can actually enter things like time codes, which is fantastic. Some of the speed switching is not reacting, but I can enter numbers somewhere. Where can I enter? I had that before. At this point, I'm just randomly clicking, right? Because I don't know the how this machine operates. But yeah, this panel is reacting to what I'm. Yeah, at this point, I just don't know how to operate. But that looks fairly good. Like before, I would just have random numbers blinking and everything. Or sometimes no numbers, and then nothing displayed at all would be with the wrong CPU card. This looks pretty good to me. I will take it from here, and I think next step will be to get everything going that is related to operating the reels. Meaning I have a switch, I have tension capstan, I have a master oscillator. So these are the cards that I will look at next. But yeah, so far I'm really happy. The CPU was always my headache. It looks pretty damn good now. So yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, that felt so good. I thought I had it. I've never seen the machine in this condition. Lights being on, lights being correct, me being able to manipulate a few things. That was awesome. I remember texting Gleb that I did it. And I thought everything would go downhill from here. Okay, so I'm trying to fit this panel, and let me put that thing back on, because wow, this is the tape tension roller. It was on like this, and I was being told that it is not coming off, and joke's on me, now it is, probably because I applied the WD-40. But the idea that I was presented with and that I followed is that I have to unscrew something here. And you can see I tried, but luckily I didn't try hard enough, because I didn't trust this at all and did not have any that's the spoilers. I did not have any technical documentation. So I went over to my Revox machine, where I was examining how this works here. And in the process, I dropped one of the shims and now it's loose. And yeah, good luck finding that. I will look for a solution for this further. But then I went back to the machine and I was just measuring the diameter from the bottom, and I figured it's kind of where I thought it would be the same as this. But then I was looking at pictures that I found on the internet with this machine without the roller on, and I saw these two have the same diameter. So then I just fiddled a bit more and then it just came off. No. Well, does it come back on now? I'm very happy I didn't damage too much here. Well, this is off now. This can come off live and on camera. Never did that before. Haha! Mechanics. All kinds of things to adjust here for the tension to be strong enough. That will be important for wow and flutter. But then what I'm trying to do is get this thing more stably seated. Also, you can see it's lower here, it's higher here. Not happy with it, so let me do that. And there it is, simple as that. Now these armrests, they came off. I will reseat them later, they're not important for now. Next step will be everything motor related. So there is the capstan control, there's the tape tension, and there is the switch. The switch is responsible for changing the motor speeds. Fast forward, rewind, play, pause. And this thing is handling the higher voltage motor ACs. And yeah, as you can see, one of these guys here was smoking. That is next up. And then we see if that is working. I think for some of the mechanic there is a tape sensor. This guy needs to be covered. I mean, I do have the proper tape, so maybe I'll just put that in and see what happens. Here we are again, and well, I'm trying to wrap my head around this machine and operating this machine. And there are some things very, very weird. Let me catch you up. Like some functions. I mean, I don't have the speed deviation and stuff here because I think the capstan is not turning at all at the moment. And yes, I do have the capstan card out. This is somewhat explainable, but still weird. And then here, this panel should be self-explanatory. I go to record ready, and then I can switch the tracks to record ready. So far, so good. Ah, he's not doing these middle 8s because I have a 16-track machine. Well, if I now, well, I can put these all back to save, right? Yes, still learning. But what I found out is, repro here I can change. Was it here, input? Yeah. And then back to repro, the input switching of the tracks. And then I have this din knob thing, where I think there's a button under it. But then if I switch mute, it switches this lamp, which is so weird. And then these buttons, what do they do? And I have a little bit of a feeling that maybe, just maybe, remember I put in a new firmware. Just maybe the new firmware that I put in that somebody gave me on CD, maybe that one does a little bit of a weird thing with this machine. Could be that it is a 24-track firmware and this is just a 16-track machine. Is that why this behaves weird? I don't know. But I will try next to put in the old firmware and see what happens. Here we are. I have the old firmware in. And a few things look better. I'm starting on the 0 with the tape time. My speed deviation is here. But you can see there is some weird flickering going on. I have another set with this firmware that I will put in, and then when I read the chips, they verified as both fine. It could be that the hardware, like the RAM chips themselves, are bad. Let's see. Yes, I found it. I found it. Look at that. This is working fine. Now this alignment is not right, but you can see no flickering. And that changed. Well, I changed two things now. I changed the cards inside that control the front panels. And first I changed this card, nothing happened, but then I changed this card. So it has to do with one of the cards, which I'm lucky about. If it was about the firmware, oh man, because that stuff is like you don't get it. But then you can see there's no, this one doesn't have any button. That's funky. Let me experiment a bit to find a configuration. But this is looking very good. And then next thing will be to get the motors running and stuff, but let's get this right. Man, that looks amazing. Tape time, event time. Look at that. As it should be. Nice. Amazing. Look at that, I put in tape. I plugged in the capstan, tape tension, and the motor switch. No smoke yet. But what I can do now is, if I press play, this happens. The capstan is not turning. I don't know why. The capstan is not turning. And if you have been following this video closely, you can see it's not in here in this machine. And also in videos of this machine in Gleb's home, the capstan is not turning as well. We'll figure that later. Stop it. What I can do is fast forward. Stop it. Yeah, it's not super healthy with the tape tension and everything. But oh, this back ones look better. Yeah. Woo-hoo. Stop it. Maybe the brakes need adjustment, but that is nice. If we now get the capstan to turn, we're pretty far. The software looks good now. The panels look good. They are reactive. What I'm missing now is like some of the switching here, Repro, Record Ready Sync does not work. I don't know if that correlates to the cards being out, right? We're gonna figure that. Then the master oscillator is not in. I don't know if that has to do with the capstan. More and more things to figure, but this is very, very nice. So we did all this work, and that's what got us here right now. Spooling works, the firmware and the CPU things are going into the right direction. With the old firmware, I still have some issues changing input and sync status. That was working with the newer firmware. With the newer firmware, though, I had problems operating tape and event time, and speed deviation was showing weird things, but that might be because he was actually missing the tacho signal, which is because the capstan was not spinning at all. And I looked at the capstan, and there as well was a yellow note. And I had this yellow note, which was in Russian, translated by my new friend Misha, and he told me, well, it says that there's an open loop, meaning this motor, capstan motor, was known to be not working, and it was known to be not working before this machine was shipped to Germany. So they very well knowingly shipped a broken machine over to Berlin. Now, let me show you the capstan. This is what's left of it right now. I completely disassembled it, and sadly I don't have any video footage of it because everything was very new and I was very scared. You can see the yellow note on it. I tried to follow the wire around. I mean, this motor does not look burned or anything, but yes, there is an open loop. I measured the voltage going to the motor. There is voltage. Now there's 3 wires, and I don't have any documents of this. I don't know where or what is open. My friend Misha, he had a project where he rewired transformers for a tube mixing board. I'm gonna link his socials. You should really check out the video that he made about it. It's a very nice project, and he kind of encouraged me to maybe rewire this, but I don't have any specs. And then without the capstan working, this machine is basically dead. So all the work we put into making sure the CPU, the firmware, the power supply and everything works got us to a point where, well, if we knew that, and this was obviously known, we could have evaluated it earlier. Now I'm sitting here with a broken capstan, and I contacted a company in Berlin that rewires motors. I don't know if it's possible to rewire this without any docs. Maybe some of you that sees this video knows about this machine, maybe has documents, maybe even has a spare capstan, who knows. But I didn't find anything on the internet yet. Yeah, let me show you how this goes together. It's basically like this. Then this is connected to a top plate. Here on the bottom, this thing sits on the tacho and then it just spins with voltage. But yeah, it's an open loop. And this motor is dead. So yeah, that's it from me today. If you liked the last couple of minutes with me, feel free to give me that all buttons in on like and subscribe if you want to follow along with the project and see how this turns out. If you have any help, drop it in the comments, shoot me a mail. I'm very, very thankful for every bit of detail and information about this. So hopefully we can get this back on the road. This is an amazing machine. It's a 16-track 2-inch. The audio cards, they're promising. So I really, really hope we get this back to work. Bis dahin, auf Wiedersehen and goodbye. Now, if we look at the headstock, you can see that the heads are in perfect condition, almost no wear. So my idea is that this machine was troublesome from the start, and it shows 5,000 hours on the counter, but this does not feel like 5,000 hours of real use to me. Like all the parts in the tape path, yeah, even the guides for spooling, they feel so new and still round, that my theory is that maybe this capstan had a problem from the factory, kind of. Maybe that's like a loose connection somewhere between the loops. Maybe maybe that is why there's no sign of anything burned or something in the capstan, right? And probably that's why it got sold to Germany. Maybe somebody got scammed here. I don't know.